Hey y'all, I'm Hope. Welcome back. And we're just gonna dive straight into this vlog because I have so many reading plans I want to get to this week. First of all, I think I've mentioned this in a few videos, but I'm still reading the XX, so like this has got to be read. But the big thing for this week is that I have a bunch of library books that are all due later in this week or like next week. So I really need to get to those so that I can get them turned in. And first and foremost, I really need to read Hemlock Island because it's due on Thursday. And this one is a thriller about a woman whose like vacation rental property that she retained in her divorce is having some very creepy things happen at it, and people are like fleeing in the middle of the night. And so she goes to investigate with her niece, but then her ex-husband and his sister are there, and then a high school friend of theirs and her brother, who's a cop, are also there. So there's like this kind of group dynamic thing going on and possibly some supernatural elements. Sounds very fun, but it's due Thursday, so I really need to read this. Gonna be reading this one first, definitely, but really interested to read this, and I haven't heard anyone talk about it, so I'm excited to see what it's like. And then for next week, I have like 3 due. First up, I think, is The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher, is I think an ebook I have. I think it's due on the 22nd. Definitely need to be getting to that one, and that one is I think the book club pick for Jan's Patreon book club, so I really want to read it because I did not read our last month's pick in time. So really want to read this one, especially because I love T. Kingfisher. I've read from them before and liked everything I've read from them. So very excited to be getting into The Twisted Ones, although I don't actually know what it's about. And then after that, I have 2 more due the following week. I think these are both due on like the 28th or the 29th or something. But I have Knock Knock Open Wide by Neil Sharpson, which is a horror about a woman who has this really awful night after finding a corpse. She never speaks about it again, but 20 years later, her daughter meets another girl in Dublin, and they get involved, and the daughter is convinced that there's like a curse on her family, and it's tied to a children's show. Sounds super weird. Could be really interesting. My cat just found his ball tower toy. He's very excited about it. Sounds super interesting, and again, this is one I haven't heard anybody talk about, so I'm excited to see what I think of it. And then now we're gonna have to move because my arm is getting very sore. So I'm gonna swap around over here. Please ignore the lamp behind me. Grab the last book here. This last one also due around the same time as Knock Knock Open Wide. It's Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead, which is the book troop pick for this month. And I would really like to get to read this and watch that live show. So very excited to read this one as well because this will be my first Ashley Winstead. And I know a lot of people really liked her earlier 2 books, but this one just had a premise I thought sounded fantastic. So I wanted to start here and give her writing a try because it sounds really fun. This is a I think serial killer murder mystery, possibly with supernatural elements, set in the South in a religious town, and the 2 kind of people investigating are the pastor's daughter and a childhood friend of hers who has a dark past. So sounds super fun. I'm really excited to try it because I've seen so many other people love Ashley Winstead's first 2 thrillers, so I think this one's gonna be really fun. So those are the books I need to read this week, which is obviously quite a lot. And besides that, I'm very behind on my Goodreads goal because I wanted to read 73 books this month, or not this month, 73 books this year, and I'm at 54, I think, with System Collapse yesterday. So I still need to read 19 books, and I really would love to get to my goal. So I'm gonna read as much as I can this week. I am turning in my last assignment probably today or tomorrow, so time should be fine. Keeping my fingers crossed I can stay motivated and actually read all of these. But that's kind of the plan for the week, and I don't really have anything else going on. I'm just gonna be finishing that assignment, maybe playing a little bit of video games, just around other things, but that's pretty much it. So I think it's gonna be a really good week for reading. I'm feeling motivated. I had a great time reading System Collapse. You should be seeing the review for that before this, so you should already know about that. But yeah, had a great time reading that, and now I am feeling motivated to keep reading, which is good because I have all these library books that need to get read. So I think I'm gonna go get some food, go to work, etc. This is my long day, so I won't get home until fairly late this evening, but I think I'm gonna start Hemlock Island when I get home and try to power through some of that this evening. Well, it is Tuesday now, and I have just finished and turned in my final reflections for the graduate seminar I was taking. So I'm basically done between now and the end of class, which is technically not till the 29th. It's the 14th of November. So I really have basically 2 weeks where I'm done early, and that's kind of exciting because now I actually have time to do some reading and some knitting and play some video games and do some of the things I haven't really had time to do during this semester since it has turned out to be quite busy and stressful. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm looking forward to diving into this giant stack of books I've been trying to avoid making eye contact with for the last several weeks. In other news, I have started Hemlock Island. I'm not as far along in this as I would like to be. I ended up working pretty late yesterday evening working on the final reflections. I'm about 30 pages in, and I have to admit that I'm not really enjoying this all that much. I'm finding the main character pretty inconsistent. There's a teenage character who is definitely not like an actual teenager. I think she's kind of oddly written. And then we find that this, like the rest of this kind of cast, we have the main character Lainey and her niece Madison, and then Lainey's ex-husband Kit and his sister Jayla, and then their high school friend Sadie and her brother Garrett. So that's kind of the main cast of this. And I'm struggling because Lainey seems to have a lot of like tension or apprehension around Kit and Jayla that stems from her divorce from Kit, but Kit and Jayla seem to be like genuinely kind, caring people who still genuinely like and care about Lainey and want her to be okay. So it seems to be this like very one-sided tension, which feels very strange. I think it's very silly because like she just lets her niece come along to investigate a series of very spooky things that are happening at her vacation home. So I don't quite understand why she gives in so easily to that. And then lastly, I really don't like Sadie and Garrett. They've just shown up. I've just read the first couple of pages where they're present, and I really can't stand them. They show up and Sadie is just like cartoonishly evil. She's so mean, just right off the bat. But then on top of that, Garrett, like within the first 3 seconds of him being on page, starts going on this kind of like anti-trans, not quite a rant, but like he's very clearly anti-trans very early on, which was really weird because the character he's speaking to is not trans. He just shows up and is being weird at Madison because she's not dressed in a super girly way to go to a island in the middle of the lake. And he's like, what's with the hair and the clothes? Do you suddenly think you're a boy now? And Madison gives a not very teenagery response to that, but is basically like, I don't owe you any any explanation, man, that I don't really remember, because she's only met him once when she was like very young, or you know, she doesn't know him very well. But then like Sadie tries to kind of, you know, fix the situation. Is like, oh, but isn't her hair so nice? Isn't it so lovely? It's her short hair suits her face so well. And Garrett's all like, does it suit her face or his face? And it's just so stupid. And it's like, why does he need to be anti-trans and evil like the moment he steps on page? But again, it's just so weird because it's not even a trans character. And I thought we were past being weird about girls being tomboys, or I don't know. I'm not having that much of a fun time with it because it is very like over the top and silly. The character relationships are not believable and don't really make a lot of sense. And then Garrett is just 2 seconds in, he's grating on my nerves. So I'm gonna give it a few more chapters and see how I feel about it, but it's possible I might end up DNFing this because if I'm not enjoying it, I am not going to force myself to keep reading a book that I'm not enjoying. I feel like this is why my Goodreads looks like it does, because I have a lot of like 3 stars and up and not a lot of anything else. And it's because I tend not to continue books I don't like. I will sometimes rate something that's like a 2-star or 1-star, that's something that either I had to read for some reason, or it's something that I read it, I got some level of enjoyment out of it, maybe I read it for my friend's cursed book club or something like that, and I finished it for that reason, but I am acknowledging that like it's not well written. I don't think it's a good book. But if it's something like this where I'm just not having a good time and I can tell early on that I'm gonna rate it really lowly, I just tend not to finish them because I just don't have time to waste on things that I'm not enjoying. So I'm gonna give it a few more chapters. I think that's what I'm gonna do next, since I finished with all of my stuff I needed to do today. And I'm gonna give it a few more chapters, see how it goes. Maybe I'll like it better once we get a little more into the intrigue. The chapters are also very short, so I'm not really investing that much time if I just read a few more chapters. And if I do start to like it, we'll continue, but if I don't, I'm gonna DNF it and I'm just gonna read something else. because I don't want to waste my time on it. So yeah, I'm disappointed so far because I was really excited about this one. I thought it sounded really like it was going to be kind of a fun and silly over-the-top thriller, and so far it's just kind of grating. So we'll see where it goes, but I'm gonna go do some reading and clean up my desk because I have all my lunch dishes still in here. So I'm gonna do those things, and I'm really hoping that I'm either gonna, well, honestly, I'm really hoping that I'm gonna like this better a few more pages in, but we'll see. We'll see what happens because I'm really not convinced at this point. It's about midnight. I have taken a break in the last little bit to play some Baldur's Gate with a friend of mine. However, I did read 100 more pages of Hemlock Island, and I am going to continue on with it. At this point, I'm not loving it. I think it's trying to do too many things. It's talking about like divorce, it's talking about grief and loss and the difficulty of raising a child. It's talking about the pandemic and how that affected people's lives, and then there's like another thing that's a twist that's like the thing we don't talk about that keeps kind of getting danced around, and I think I figured out what it is, and I'm not going to tell you because I think that would be a spoiler, but like that's another really big heavy topic that it's trying to talk about, and it's doing like too many different things. I think it kicks off too quickly as well. Like there's really no build up. You just launch straight into, oh no, there's bloody scratch marks in a closet, and it just kind of goes from there. So there's no real like build of tension. It just throws everything at you all at once. So I'm not convinced by that. I think the characters are really inconsistent. There's a guy named Garrett who shows up. I think I mentioned him already. So he's very awful, and then pretty immediately after that he's like starts being really nice to Madison, and he starts calling her kiddo every time he talks to her, and it's driving me nuts because he calls her kiddo every time. He doesn't ever call her by her name. So that's happening, and it just feels like everybody is a little bit inconsistent. We're told they're one way, they act a different way. They show up and act one way, and then a few minutes later they're acting some other way. So like I just think it's trying to do too many things, and the characters aren't super consistent. That being said, there have been some interesting mysteries that have been introduced, and there's some tension and some stakes being created because they're now trapped on the island. They don't have access to a boat. They don't have access to any way to like contact anybody off of the island. So there's that kind of thing. There's a lot of isolation happening. So I'm interested to see where that's gonna go and what is gonna happen with that element. And I've also just like moments ago, well after reading my next 100 pages, I just started looking at the blurbs on the back, and I think some of my issues with the book have been explained because I had seen this build as a thriller. Granted, I didn't look real hard, but I heard a couple of people talk about this as a thriller, and that was like all I had heard, just that this book was coming out, and I didn't know anything else about it. I don't know anything about this author, but I started looking at the back, and every single blurb is from a horror author, not a thriller author. And so I think this has been misrepresented to me as a thriller, and I think it's actually horror. So I think that's maybe explaining some of my issues with it, because I think I was going in looking for like a thriller type mystery, and it's just not that. But now I get that, and so I'm like taking that information, I'm gonna stick that like in my brain, I'm gonna remember it, and I'm gonna read the rest, and I'm gonna see where it goes, because I think maybe I will get along with this book better with updated expectations now that I am like, okay, this is a horror book, not a thriller. So I'm interested to see where this is gonna go. I don't love the characters. I'm really not convinced on some of what it's trying to do, but there's been a handful of mysteries that have been raised that I would like some explanations for. So I am gonna read it for that reason. I don't think this is gonna be a new favorite or anything, but at least I'll be able to turn it into the library soon, so that'll be good. So that's what I'm gonna do tomorrow, is try and finish this. And for now, I need to go give me some sleep, because I'm very tired and it's like midnight and I gotta go to class and to work tomorrow. But it's not one of my long days, so it's fine. It's all good. But I'm gonna try to get some sleep so that I can be prepared to do that. And also, my cats are starting to judge me because they are ready for sleep. And they keep looking at me like, you're disturbing us. Shut up. So I'm gonna go respect their wishes and go get some sleep. Okay, so wait for the camera to focus. There we go. Good news, I finished Hemlock Island. Bad news, I didn't love it. I really was hoping I was gonna like this one, and I didn't. I'm debating at the moment whether I want to give it 2.5 or 3 stars. I do think that realizing this was horror and readjusting my expectations for that helped, but that didn't solve a lot of the other problems, including the characters being really inconsistent. There was this problem where they would like at one point be very genre conscious, like the main character is supposed to be a huge horror junkie, so she like loves the genre, she knows all the stuff about horror, and yet she's behaving in incredibly stupid ways at various points. So it's like moments when she's smart and she's like, oh, this is like, we're in a horror movie and we need to not do this thing, but then immediately doing something else stupid. And then like the other characters, same, they would be like really smart at one moment and then like 2 seconds later be doing something incredibly dumb. On top of that, there were tons of like almost unbelievably soap opera-y relationships here. I didn't really buy most of the relationships, and I ended up being right about the big like dark secret twist that was coming. There was an extra layer to it I wasn't expecting, but I got most of that right. I kind of got what that was early on, and it was interesting, and it kind of gets dealt with, but it feels like disconnected from so much else that's happening in the book that I'm not really sure entirely why it needed to be included. I guess to add the drama around the relationships, which kind of creates part of the tension for them on the island, but it just seemed kind of unnecessary. And yeah, I just didn't buy most of the relationships. It all felt a little bit overly convoluted, and I think maybe the main problem was that this book was just trying to do like too many things. It was trying to tackle too many topics. It was talking about like grief and loss, it's talking about like the difficulty of trying to raise a child, about divorce, about the thing that is the dark twist. I guess it's spoilers. If you don't want to know what the thing is, I guess click past this, but I'll just say that like it's trying to deal with like sexual assault and guilt and grief as a result of that. And so there's like that element of it, and there's just it's trying to do too many things. Oh, it also talks about the pandemic and how that's affected people's lives, and it just felt like there were too many elements happening. And because the book is only a little under 300 pages, it didn't really have the time to dig into any of those in a satisfying way, and so they all felt very surface level. The characters felt kind of surface level, and I think I just found that kind of frustrating. Also, the horror was like too many different kinds of things happening, and I was a little bit annoyed that like every time they came up with some sort of prediction or guess on what was going on, they turned out to be right. Like their first thought was always the right thought, which just felt unrealistic to me, and that was kind of annoying to me. Now, all of that being said, I know I've been complaining about this a lot. I did say I was going to give it 2.5 or 3 stars. I'm kind of leaning towards 2.5, but there were parts of this that I liked. I think that the overall horror elements, like the spooky things that are happening, well done. There were some moments in here that like genuinely had me kind of like gagging or kind of like, ugh, oh my god. So I think the horror elements are really well done. There was one character, no, there were two characters in here that I really liked, that even though they felt fairly shallow and static, I enjoyed them. So they kind of made the book for me. They were just like really funny, but also really resourceful and interesting. I liked a couple of the characters. So it wasn't like a bad book. I had a fine time reading it. It's just, I think it's trying to do too many different things and it's not doing any of them as well as it could be doing them. So yeah, it's just a little all over the place for me, and I probably won't pick up any other books from this author. However, I did see that she's a New York Times bestselling author, so clearly she is well liked. So certainly if the premise of this book sounds interesting to you, I'd still recommend giving it a shot. I think this was just a case of like, it doesn't work for me, but I definitely could see why other people might really like this. So now that that's done, the next library book I need to get to, the next one that's due, is The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher, which is due on the 22nd, which I think is like next Tuesday or something. I need to look at the calendar again. But that's the newest, or the nearest, not the newest, the nearest due date. So that's what I'm going to read next, another horror. I'm feeling pretty good about this one because I have read T. Kingfisher before. I've read a couple of her horror books, and I really like her particular brand of like horror kind of mixed with comedy. So I'm pretty excited to be picking this one up. It sounds really good. It's about a woman who is going to, I believe, clear out her grandmother's house after the grandmother has died, and she finds a journal describing some really disturbing things and then starts to experience those things herself. So I think that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm excited to read it, and that's what I'm going to be tackling next. However, for now, I'm actually going to go play some Baldur's Gate with a friend of mine and chat for a little bit, probably recap this book to her because she doesn't want to read it, but she does want to know. So I'm going to recap that for her and go hang around in the Underdark and talk to mushroom people. And I will start on the Twisted Ones tomorrow. So that is the plan. Hello and happy Thursday. It's a work from home day, and that's how I know it's Thursday. It's the only way I'm keeping track of days at this point. They're kind of bleeding together. I feel like this whole year has kind of bled together a little bit. I'm like, how is it almost Thanksgiving? That's next week. But anyway, today is a slow day. I woke up really late, had several small things go wrong while I was trying to make breakfast, and it's been one of those kinds of days, you know? But I have a couple of things I need to get done today. So I'm at the end of my work shift. I got like another hour left. I finished a task and I'm kind of waiting to hear back on something, so I had a couple of minutes to kind of step away, so I thought that I would go ahead and update while I was thinking about it. But plan for the day is I need to return Hemlock Island to the library, which the more I've thought about it, I also talked through it with a friend yesterday. I really think it's a 2-star book for me, and I've rounded it up slightly to 2.5 because of, there were a few like really funny moments that I really liked that I thought were very charming. So it's getting like a 2.5 for those little pieces, but I think it's really a 2-star book. I really didn't like it all that much, but it gets to go back to the library today. I get to turn that in on time, not incur any late fees or anything, so that'll be good. And today I'm going to be starting The Twisted Ones when I have some free time after I get back from the library. I also just got some book mail that I wanted to show off because it's System Collapse, which I'm very excited about, having just read the arc of this and loving it. So I'm excited to have the full series on my shelf. I love the Murderbot series, and I think we get 2 more installments in it, and I'm very excited for those. This got here really fast though, because this was supposed to arrive on Friday, and it's already here. So it actually got delivered yesterday, so it was delivered 2 days early, which like never happens for my Barnes & Noble orders. So that was exciting that it arrived early. But yeah, at some point I really would like to go back and reread this whole series, but it's probably not going to be anytime soon because I have a lot of other books I really need to get to in the meantime. But yeah, at some point in the future I'd like to do that because I'd like to see the series like from the start now that I know the whole arc of what's going on. So that'll be fun, I think. But yeah, that arrived yesterday. What else? Oh, I cast on a sock. I finished my sock a little while back, and then I needed to go ahead and cast on the second one because otherwise I was probably never going to make the second sock. So that has been cast on. I've done the first row ribbing and started the second row, and I will hopefully be able to make some progress on that soon. Although my wrist is a little upset today. I have a like repetitive strain injury problem with my right wrist, so probably from all of the knitting and gaming that I do. Who'd have thought? But I gotta let my wrist rest a little bit before I get too far into the knitting again. Just heard back on the thing I need to hear back on, so I'm gonna jump over to that in just a second and finish up those emails I gotta send. But yeah, I think, is that most of the update? I feel like there's something else I'm missing. Oh, I'm also planning to do some video editing today, and also I need to start planning my December TBR, because there's 2 readathons I want to participate in December. Don't know why that was hard to say. And I'm trying to like do some pre-planning to figure out how to like fit the prompts together, because there's a few things I know I'm gonna have trouble finding prompts to fill, or sorry, not finding prompts to fill, finding books to fill the prompts. Words are a challenge today apparently. So I want to go ahead and spend some time kind of figuring out what I want to do there, because I have a sense of some of the things I want to read in December. I have some things here that I know I'm not going to get to this month, and a few other things I've been kind of putting off. So I have some good choices sitting here ready for me to pick from. I just need to take some time and actually like figure out how I want to fill all of those prompts. There's one I don't think I'm gonna be able to fill, because one of the 2 readathons has a prompt that's like a book with Who in the title, because it's Grinch themed. I'm very excited for that one. But I don't have any. I have 2 books that have Who in the title, and I've read both of them, so I've got to figure out what to do for that one. Although I think you can double up prompts for that readathon, so I might be able to like find like a book on my wish list that has Who in the title, maybe. We'll see, I'll figure it out. But yeah, I think that's all of the update now for today. Lots of like small things. I'm really excited to start the Twisted Ones later, because I've read a couple of other T. Kingfisher books and loved them, so I'm very excited to start that one, and I think it's going to be a really fun read. So I think that is now actually it for now, and I'm going to finish up work, get that book returned, and I will see you guys later. I have to say that having all of my stuff turned in really early in this semester, given that I got like 2 more weeks left, including Thanksgiving break when I won't have to do anything, it's really nice. It's really freaking nice, because I just spent most of today reading, and I really enjoyed getting to do that again. I did go to the library and turn in the book I needed to turn in, and I also edited and uploaded Saturday's video, so there was like some productivity. But I also managed to start and read a significant portion of the Twisted Ones. I don't know why I was going with finish. My brain is all over the place, please forgive me. Anyway, I did start the Twisted Ones, and I've read about 50%, I think I'm at like 45, 46%. So I've read quite a bit today. I think it was 200 pages, like a 400-page book. So I'm really pleased with that, because it's been a long time since I've had the time to like sit down and read that many pages in a single day. But I'm really enjoying this one so far. It is definitely more to my liking than Hemlock Island was. I will say, of the books that I've read from T. Kingfisher, this is not my favorite so far, because it's feeling a little bit repetitive. There's a few things that keep getting brought up over and over again, and I think that that is, it's kind of starting to get a little bit annoying. And also, the pacing is a little weird. It's like really, really slow. And then at the point that I'm at, the horror has suddenly like ramped up very quickly, which I can't complain about it, because the thing that just happened or I've read is like one of my worst like irrational fears of something like looking in the window at you. I hate that, especially at night, like dark windows. I hate that. and it just used the hell out of that to scare me. So like, I can't be mad about it in terms of what's happening with the horror, and I am really liking like the setting, and the actual horror elements are really well written. There have been some very creepy scenes so far, and this was just like the creepiest yet. So I am really liking that, and I'm really liking the cast of characters. It's this kind of like quirky cast of small town characters, and I'm really enjoying all of them. I think they're wonderful. So there's a lot here that I'm really enjoying. There's just a few things that I think are a little repetitive, and the pacing is just a little slow for me. But yeah, it's a really fun book so far. I am excited to see how everything is going to turn out, because it's kind of setting up some mysteries. We have this kind of mystery with the main character Mouse, her step-grandfather, and kind of what happened to him. What did he know, because she finds his journal and is reading it, and that's kind of what kicks off the events of the book. And then there's also like the mystery of what's actually happening in the woods around the house. And I'm enjoying those two elements, and I'm curious to see where they're gonna go. And I am also just like, again, really enjoying the cast of characters. I'm curious to find out like how they're going to continue to like kind of be important to the rest of Mouse's story, because there's like some people that live near her grandmother that she's interacting with that are really an interesting group of people. So having a really good time with it. I have a few small complaints, but in comparison with Hemlock Island, I'm loving this much more. And this is like much more a me kind of horror book. I just happen to really vibe with T. Kingfisher's particular brand of like horror mixed with humor, and her style of humor really works for me. So I knew I was at least going to like this, even if it ended up not being a new favorite, which I think is kind of where I'm leaning with it right now. But I am like thoroughly enjoying my time with it. So hopefully I can finish it tomorrow. We will see. Tomorrow I actually have to go to campus, so I won't have the same kind of like uninterrupted reading time from like 12:30 on, but I will have some time tomorrow evening when I get home. So looking forward to getting to more of it. But for now, I'm actually going to go play some more Baldur's Gate with a friend of mine, and that's gonna be a lot of fun. I also just realized how bare this wall looks behind me. I'm just floating in a beige void. Anyway, I'm gonna go play some Baldur's Gate, and I'm really looking forward to reading more Twisted Ones tomorrow, because I think it's gonna be a really interesting resolution just based on everything that's been set up so far. So there was a local pottery festival today, and my mom and I just got back from it, and it was so much fun. I've never been to this particular one. My mom went like several years ago. It's Saturday, by the way. Just realized I don't think I updated it all yesterday. But anyway, it's Saturday. We went to a pottery festival, and I had not gone previously because the last time she went I was in high school, and I was like, ew, pottery, I don't care. And then now I'm an adult and I'm like, pottery, let's go. So we went to the pottery festival. It was so cool, and I ended up getting some really cool things. So let me show you what I got. Start with a piece that I got for my shelves whenever I get them set up in here. I'm gonna be careful because she taped this very neatly for me, and I'm gonna use the gallery. It's this big thing they do every year, and there's like one space where they have like a bunch of people come out and have like an exhibition of some of their stuff, and there's like a silent auction, and then a bunch of the local potters have their galleries open for like additional hours, and just like potters everywhere. It's a whole town of potters basically. So it's really cool. There's like tons of different places to go, and if I can get this unwrapped. Bear with me, there's lots of packing tape happening here, and I can't find the end of this piece. Oh my goodness. Very secure. There we go. Got it. I'm so sorry. This is probably making horrible noises. I will say I'm sorry. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. But anyway. Let's see if I can get this to focus. Let's see. Poke that. Will it do the thing? There we go. Okay. So this is a crystalline pottery thing. So they have these like crystals in it, which are just really shimmery and beautiful. And apparently this is a there's like a chemical reaction that creates this orange color. So the lady at the gallery was saying that they add, I can't remember which two, I want to say it was nickel and manganum or something, but they add that and it causes the background to go like really orange, and then this part pops out really blue. So it's like a chemical reaction that creates this color. But then this potter was doing lots of these like really interesting cutouts. So it just is such a beautiful piece and I'm very excited. So turn off that, there we go. And yeah, I just think this is beautiful, and I wanted to have something for the shelf that I'm going to put in here. This is very similar to the blue of my love seat that's down here in the corner. So I wanted to bring in some oranges as well, because I think that's, my mom's office is orange, and so the house color schemes are going to be like blue and orange, because that's kind of what we're moving towards now. So I wanted to kind of pull in some of those colors into my office too. So I was just like, this is such an interesting vase. I kept going back to look at it, so I just had to get it for myself. And as difficult as that was, I think I'm actually not going to get out. I had another piece. There's this really interesting utensil jar. Actually, I took a picture of it. I will put the picture here. I'm not going to try and unwrap it because that is a gift that I want to leave wrapped so I can send it. But it's a really cool like utensil jar, but it's like slanted. So instead of like sitting upright, it sits kind of like at an angle like that. And it's, I don't know, it's just kind of cool looking, and it's this interesting like kind of robin's egg color, and I wanted something that was going to be neutral enough that I could send it to them without remembering what exactly the color scheme of their house is. I can't remember if I already said this. It's for my partner's parents. They're super sweet people, and they send me a Christmas gift every year, so I wanted to send them something this year as well. So I found that, and I just thought it was a really cool jar, and it would be something that would be really useful, and they can use it like however they want, because you could definitely put like utensils in it like they had at the gallery where I found it, but also you could definitely you know, put pretty much whatever you wanted in it. And I thought that was just a very cool piece. So I'll have a picture of some of them up here somewhere. But that was the other thing I got. And then one of the shops had a yarn shop in the back of it. So I also have a little bit of yarn because of course it's me and I can't resist. So first up I have this, which is Noro, which is a Japanese yarn brand. I've never bought from Noro before. Also, I have to mention, my mom is super sweet, and she bought me the yarn as a very early birthday present. So my birthday's not actually until January, but every once in a while, if I find something I really like and it's kind of at this end part of the year, she'll offer to get it for me as an early birthday present. And then on my birthday, we just like hang out and make cheesecake and do stuff like that. So, but this is what I got this year. And it's just this beautiful orange color. It's, I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but there's some like fun variations in the color. It's once again not wanting to focus. Let me poke it again. There we go. So it's this really pretty orange with a little bit of variation in it. And it's a blend of, if I can pull the tag out again, wool, silk, and alpaca. And it's 100 grams, 200 meters. So I got 2 skeins of this, which I'm going to use to make the, clear the autofocus again. Come on. Sorry. There we go. Give it a second to figure it out. There we go. I'm going to use this to make the copper and candle wax shawl by, is it Jessie McFadden? Something McFadden. I can't remember her first name. But it's this beautiful pattern I've had in my library for like years and just never found the right yarn for. But I think this is going to be beautiful. And then the other one I got, I also have 2 skeins of. And this is this beautiful cotton. So this surprised me, it's cotton, but it's so soft. A lot of cotton tends to be a little bit stiff, but this is just super, super soft. This is Great Adirondack Yarn Company Incorporated, Well-Dressed Sheep, in the color Peacock. So I got 2 skeins of this, which I think is just beautiful. Purples and greens and blues. And I'm going to use that, once again, wait for the focus to figure its stuff out. There we go. I'm going to use that to make the Boneyard shawl by Stephen West, which I've never made one of his patterns, but I know he's a very popular designer, so I've been wanting to give one of his patterns a try, and I think that'll be a perfect pattern for this because it's very basic and just it's like a mixture of stockinette and garter stitch, and I think that that kind of simplicity is really going to let these colors and the texture of this yarn show through. So I'm very, very excited about these. So those are going to be some of my upcoming projects, and that is all the stuff I acquired today. But yeah, it was a really nice day. It was fun just hang out with mom and walk around. Got to look at lots of beautiful pottery, and it was just like perfect weather. We really couldn't have had better weather. It was sunny and it was like 70 degrees with like a nice cool breeze, and it was just nice. Just like perfect fall day. So it was really good, and I'm glad that I went. I've never been down there before, so it was fun as my first trip down to this pottery festival, and just I keep looking at this and being like, I love it. It's so neat. So anyway, that's pretty much what I've done today. I'm going to be reading this evening. Plan for the evening is to try and finish the Twisted Ones, because then I can turn that back in. And I also I went ahead and turned back in my audiobook for Lady of Mysterious Ailments. I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier or not, but I got that in from the library, and I've decided to turn it back in, and I might actually try and check it out again in December, because I need an audiobook for Reindeer Readathon, and I've got so many other things that I want to try and get through this month that are like earlier books in series where I want to read like the 3rd book in December, and just some library books and things like that. So I'm gonna hopefully be reading that in December instead of this month. Again, I don't remember if I mentioned that earlier, so maybe this is completely irrelevant to you guys, but yeah, that's my thinking right now. And I'm gonna go work on the Twisted Ones because I'm really enjoying that, and I really want to try and finish it this evening. So pardon the bad lighting. It's actually like noon. I just haven't opened any of the windows yet. I'm this fucking close to finishing the Twisted Ones, and it's gone very weird. I think I'm having fun with it so far. I'm curious to see how it's going to end, but I really don't know what to expect at this point, and it's gone very interesting and very weird. I do like the way that this is using a lot of like Appalachian type folklore horror elements, and I really am enjoying that, and the way that it's kind of working with the setting. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm this close to done. I'm at like 89%, but right now I'm gonna go with my mom to to go get lunch with a friend, and then we're gonna go do some grocery shopping, getting ready for Thanksgiving, and then my plan is to come back and finish off that last little bit of the Twisted Ones. So very excited. I'm that close to the end, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it's gonna turn out, because I really just don't know what to expect, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. And yeah, it's gonna be another good day, I think, and I have most of my morning reading, so like that's already a good start to a good day, right? I think that's how that works. Anyway, I'm gonna go get some lunch, and I will check in later when I finish the book. Well, it's over several hours later, and I have finished the Twisted Ones. We had a really nice lunch. It was a lot of fun, and I just kind of sat around and chatted for a while. Then we did some grocery shopping, and then I came home and read like the last 6% of the book. I managed to read a chunk of it on the way to lunch. So yeah, that was a really interesting experience. I really liked it. I will say it's not my favorite book I read from T. Kingfisher, but I did enjoy it. I think this one, it has the like classic T. Kingfisher blend of horror and humor that I really like, but this particular book was really repetitive. There were a lot of like really monotonous sections where just getting like repetitions of the characters' routine, and there were also like some jokes that kept getting repeated that were like funny maybe the first couple of times, and then it was just like they were mentioned too many times. In particular, there was a recurring joke about her dog being kind of gassy, and then there was also a recurring joke about NPR always being on Pledge Week. So yeah, there was just like some repetitiveness there that I think wasn't really necessary, and I think as a result of that, the book felt really slow in a couple of places where it kind of dragged through the first half, and then it was much more exciting in the second half. There was a lot more horror. I think the first half just didn't have as much horror elements in it. It was more of this kind of repetitive routine stuff. So I think it just dragged a little bit in a few places because of the repetition. I did really like the folk horror elements, and I thought they were really creepy. There were a couple of scenes that like freaked me out specifically because it's like, oh, that's just a thing that I find terrifying. So there were a few really great scares in this, and I think the overall horror elements were really fun and really interesting. And I liked the way that it was kind of blending like a rural North Carolina setting with this kind of folk horror kind of a thing. So I think that was really fun. I didn't think that that element blended entirely with the other half of the story, which is that Mouse is clearing out her grandmother's house, and her grandmother was a hoarder. I don't think that those two fully came together in a satisfying way, because the grandmother was not at the center of this other storyline with the folk horror stuff. It was her like second husband who was the center of that one. So I would have liked to see like those two storylines kind of come together in a little more cohesive way. But that being said, I did have a lot of fun with this. I really like T. Kingfisher's particular brand of humor, so I found that really enjoyable. I liked the humor sections of this, even if it got a little bit repetitive with a few of the jokes. And I also just had like a lot of fun reading this. I think that Mouse is kind of a fun protagonist, and it's written like she's writing it after the fact, and so there's this like element of her kind of trying to justify her actions that I thought was kind of funny. So I was enjoying Mouse as a protagonist. Bongo is a very good dog, love him, and I really liked the kind of cast of quirky characters that were going through this whole experience with Mouse. So I really liked all the characters. I just had a good time reading this. I definitely found this more enjoyable than Hemlock Island, at least. So I am glad I read it, and I'm looking forward to reading. I think I have one more horror book from T. Kingfisher to read that I haven't gotten to yet, which is The Hollow Places. So I'm looking forward to reading that one, because I've heard more people like The Hollow Places than like the Twisted ones. So yeah, glad I finally picked this one up, and I'm looking forward to reading more from this author. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say about that book. I don't know that I'm going to get any more reading done today. My plan next was to like pivot and try to finish the X-Hex, just because I've been reading this for so long and I'm finding myself like not drawn to pick it up, so I really just need to like power through and finish it. But I also have a couple more library books to get to, so not 100% sure what I'm going to do yet. Probably this will be next. But I think I'm actually going to leave this vlog here. It's currently Sunday evening, which means I need to get this vlog edited tomorrow afternoon, and I don't anticipate doing a lot more reading this evening, but I am really happy that I managed to finish 2 of my library books. That feels like really good progress to me, and they were the 2 that were due the earliest. So now the other 2 that I still have sitting here are due not this upcoming week, but the following week, so I can read those 2 during Thanksgiving break. So that's actually going to be like perfect. I'm going to have some good time to read during those few days while I'm off, and I think that this has worked out really well in my favor, and I'm really glad I managed to get a couple of these books done. So that's pretty much all I have for you right now. I'm gonna go like set up my bullet journal for the week and probably play some Baldur's Gate, and that's probably it for the day. Gonna maybe do some laundry. Very exciting stuff. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, I hope you'll consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. I'm currently posting every Tuesday and Saturday, so there is more content coming soon, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye.